Young and the Restless, spoilers. Kyle Abbott felt a sense of relief wash over him as he watched Summer and Harrison play together in the park. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind of emotions. Finally, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Summer had agreed to reconcile, and they had made a pact to co-parent Harrison, without any of the animosity that had previously plagued their relationship. Seeing Summer and Harrison so happy brought a warmth to Kyle's heart. It was a sight he had longed for. His family together, united and filled with love. Harrison's laughter echoed through the park, a sound that brought joy not just to Kyle, but to everyone around him. The little boy was overjoyed to see his parents getting along, and it made Kyle realize how important this peace was for their son. In the midst of this personal happiness, Kyle's professional life was also taking a turn for the better. His father, Jack Abbott, had extended an invitation for him to return to Jabbit, with an offer too tempting to refuse. The package included not only a significant salary, but also bonuses, stock options, and a host of other benefits that made it clear how much Jack valued having his son back at the company. Kyle was flattered, and the prospect of working closely with his father again was appealing. He had missed being a part of Jabbit, and the thought of returning to the family business felt like coming home. However, Kyle's joy was tempered by a nagging uncertainty. Accepting Jack's offer would mean aligning himself more closely with the Abbott side of the family. But then there was Victor Newman, the formidable patriarch of the Newman family, who had also been vying for Kyle's loyalty. Victor had made it clear that he saw potential in Kyle and had offered him opportunities that were equally enticing, albeit in a different direction. The choice was not just about career, it was about family loyalty, legacy, and the future. Kyle found himself at a crossroads, torn between the two powerful men who had both shaped his life in different ways. Jack, his father, represented stability, tradition, and the family business that Kyle had grown up with. Victor, on the other hand, represented power, influence, and a chance to step out of Jack's shadow to make a name for himself. It was a decision that weighed heavily on Kyle's mind, and he knew that whichever path he chose would have far-reaching consequences. As Kyle grappled with his decision, elsewhere in Genoa City, there was a mixture of relief and anxiety. Faith Newman, who had been teetering on the brink of death after a terrible accident, was finally showing signs of recovery. The news of her progress was a beacon of hope for her parents, Sharon and Nick, who had spent sleepless nights by her bedside, praying for a miracle. When the doctors finally gave them the news that Faith had turned a corner and was on the road to recovery, it was as if a weight had been lifted from their shoulders. Sharon and Nick were overwhelmed with gratitude, thanking God for sparing their daughter's life. The thought of losing Faith had been unbearable, and now that she was going to be okay, they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But as joyous as this news was, it didn't erase the aftermath of the accident. The legal ramifications were looming, and Sharon knew that they couldn't simply move on without addressing them. There were still questions to be answered, and the law would not be forgiving. Faith's accident had been the result of a series of poor decisions, and there were consequences that needed to be faced. Sharon decided it was time to take action, and she reached out to Daniel Romolotti and Heather Stevens to discuss the situation. Both Daniel and Heather had experience in legal matters, and Sharon trusted them to help navigate the complexities that lay ahead. The meeting was tense, filled with the weight of what they were about to discuss. Daniel and Heather listened carefully as Sharon laid out the details, her voice steady but tinged with worry. They all knew that the legal battle ahead would be tough, and the outcome was far from certain. The accident had been a serious one, and the authorities were not going to let it slide. There would be court dates, hearings, and potentially severe consequences for those involved. Heather, always the professional, began to outline the potential legal strategies they could employ. "We need to be prepared for anything," she said, her tone serious. "Prosecution will likely argue that this was a case of reckless endangerment, and they'll push for the harshest penalties. We'll need to build a strong defense, focusing on mitigating factors and showing that this was a tragic accident, not a deliberate act of negligence." Daniel nodded in agreement, adding, We also need to think about the long-term implications. This isn't just about avoiding jail time. There's reputational damage to consider, especially for the Newman family. We need to handle this delicately, both in court and in the public eye. Sharon's heart sank as she listened to their words. She had known this was coming, but hearing it laid out so starkly made the situation feel even more dire. Still, she was determined to do whatever it took to protect her daughter and their family. "We'll do whatever we need to do," she said firmly. "Faith is our priority, and we'll face whatever comes together." As the meeting drew to a close, Sharon couldn't help but reflect on the fragility of life and how quickly things could change. Just a few weeks ago, she had been consumed with worry about Faith's recovery. Now, while she was relieved that her daughter was going to be okay, a new set of challenges awaited them. The legal battle would be long and grueling, but Sharon was resolved to see it through, no matter the cost. Back in Kyle's world, the decision between Jack and Victor still loomed large. He knew that whatever choice he made, it would define his future and the legacy he would leave for Harrison. But for now, he pushed those thoughts aside, focusing instead on the precious moments with his family. Moments that, despite everything, made life in Genoa City worth living. In the end, the lives of those in Genoa City were intertwined in ways that no one could have predicted. As they each faced their own challenges, they would need to rely on their strength, their love, and their resilience to navigate the trials ahead. And through it all, the bonds of family, though tested, would prove to be the most enduring force of all.